Hello everyone, I'm MVL and welcome to an MVL Gaming live stream. Today we're going to check out my PSP collection. We're going to check out all 69 games, and I deliberately added 2 titles to the collection so that I would have 69 games to show you guys. And my system as well. There's going to be a lot of great games and some hidden gems included as well. So without further ado, let's get started. First I want to show you my PSP system itself. I have a little case for this with a zip. I originally got the PSP when it came out. I had a black model, but I upgraded to the one I have here, which is a silver Final Fantasy VII one, which I used in the Hyperkin PSP HDMI video I put up recently, which inspired me to do this collection video as well. So I'll show you this PSP. It has a couple of problems with it. The battery is not so good, and as you guys, if you saw my Hyperkin video, Hyperkin PSP HDMI video, the home button was stuck, or there was an issue with it, so it kept prompting me to go to the home menu. But this is an awesome system, Final Fantasy VII model, love it. Love the PSP in general, really. It's a great system. My only problem I have with it is, you know, it's not so great for first person because of the little kind of nub there, which is not a thumbstick. But it's a great system all around. Love it. And yeah, this is a really cool model. I will most likely down the line be getting a replacement system so that I can use the Hyperkin cable to live stream with it, because I love playing with the TV. That's why I got rid of my original model to upgrade to this one, which is a 2000 Slim and Light. Maybe I'll go for a 3000 model, one of the later models, because I really like the idea of having the video output for the system. What I also have from my original PSP is this UMD demo disc that came with it as well. Now that's not a game or anything. It just comes with a bunch of cool stuff, little videos and stuff like that. I also had when I bought my system, it also came with Spider-Man on a UMD as well. I remember that. All right, so from one movie to another, we're going to start off in the A's for the game collection, based on a movie. Alien vs Predator Requiem for the PSP is the first game up in the A's. And this is an action game. You get to play the aliens, the predators, and the colonial marines, of course. Become the ultimate predator. Actually, you know, come to think of it, I think maybe you only play the predator in this game. Don't remember exactly, but it is based on the movie Aliens vs Predator. You do play as a predator. So there's a lot of AVP games. I get confused because in many of them you do get to choose between different factions, if you will. And I actually tend to prefer playing as a Marines, but this is a cool game. I remember it was on one of my pickup videos. The case is a little damaged, but it is complete here with the UMD and the manual in there as well. That's the first game of the 69 as we are into the A's. Next one is a great game, and this is Ape Academy, based on the Ape Escape series. I used to love Ape Escape on the PlayStation. Hey Lydia, welcome to the stream, my friend. How are you doing? Good to see you here. Ape Academy, I believe this is a bunch of kind of mini games, like it features racing and things like that. I pretty much picked this up just because of its association with Ape Escape. And yeah, go ape in this game with 50 mini games. So it is a bunch of mini games. A good game that would be good for multiplayer as well, with a lot of cool mini games. You got racing in there and all kinds of madness. You doing good? That's good to hear, my friend. Awesome to have you here as we go through my PSP collection. A couple of these cases are kind of damaged. I did drop a couple of them setting this up, but there you go. Ape Academy, got the manual in there, and I've got the UMD as well. Hey Juliana, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the stream, and thank you for hitting that like. There's also some cool artwork in here. I won't show you every artwork inside of the case, but often these cases will have cool artwork in there as well. I actually dropped the UMD on the ground, which is fortunate because the UMDs themselves are in these kind of protective cases, so you can't damage the disc as much as you would if it was not. But yes, certainly I love the Ape Escape series, which brings me over to our next game, actually, very appropriately, which is Ape Escape P, also known as Ape Escape Portable, I believe. Again, it's time to go ape with this game. This, I believe, is just a straight version of the PlayStation 1 ported to the PlayStation Portable. Not sure how this controls, to be fair, because with the PlayStation, Ape Escape was the game that brought in the DualShock controller, or really showed its prevalence, where you could use the camera with one stick and the movement with the other. So I pretty much see this as a twin stick game. I'm not sure how it's going to fare with that kind of nub you get to control on the PSP, but it'll be interesting. Cool game nonetheless. I actually currently don't have Ape Escape on the PlayStation 1. I think I used to have a demo, or I used to have the game and it went missing. Again, there's some cool artwork in there behind it, and look at that. Actually, on the back there's an advertisement for some other Ape Escape games, including Ape Academy and Ape Escape 3 on the PS2. So that's pretty cool. All right, next up we have an RPG. This may astound you, because it is Astonish a Story. Okay, that barely worked. I accept that. But this is a cool RPG. Hey Sherlock, welcome to the stream, my friend. How are you doing? Good to have you here. It is a cool game. And this is an RPG. This was on the PSP, but it was also on the PC. Now, the PSP got a lot of what I would say console exclusives. I mean, it's a handheld, but I would say console exclusives. There are a couple of RPGs. There's another one I have actually that's only on the PSP and the PC. So if you want a plug and play version, the PSP is the only one out there. So that's a cool version of it. This is a cool RPG. It's actually really good. There's no artwork inside, which is a little disappointing, but they won't all have artwork in there. But I do have the manual in there, and the UMD itself included. A cool RPG. There's a lot of nice cutscenes in this game as well. I love my RPGs, even though they take a long time to play through. This is a cool game. Astonish a Story on the PlayStation Portable. We've got another RPG coming up, and I remember picking this up in one of my game hunting videos, and it is Blade Dancer, Lineage of Light. Another cool RPG game. This is a 3D RPG, so it doesn't have that sort of 2D perspective top-down like the other one did. RPGs are always good. They are indeed. I love RPGs. My only gripe with RPGs is it does take a long time to get through the RPGs, which is both a good and a bad thing. But I do love the RPGs. This is a great looking game. I'll try and close up to that so you can see it. But this is a great looking game, and it's a 3D RPG. If you guys remember back to my game hunting game hunting videos, I picked this up on. You guys can check that out. I think the name of that game hunting video is Video Game Hunting Adults Only. And the reason it's called Adults Only is when I got this, instead of a manual. See, I don't have a manual in here. I have the UMD, but I don't have the manual. Instead of a manual, there was like a cutout from an adult Japanese cartoon, is how I'll put it, inside there instead. And that was really weird. But yeah, I had that in there instead of a manual for some reason. Would be nice to have this complete with a manual, but nevertheless good to have it in the collection regardless. Another RPG coming up, because I love RPGs, and this is one I got early on with my PSP system when I had the regular black model before I upgraded to the silver Final Fantasy VII one. It is Breath of Fire 3. A fantastic game. I loved playing through this. Certainly easier over here to get this than it would be to get the original copy. It's Raw vs SmackDown GM mode. Yeah, people love the SmackDown vs Raw GM modes. A lot of SmackDown vs Raw games did come to the PSP system as well. They were ported over to it, which was very cool. Although the loading times were not great on them on the PSP, it was still really cool to get them. You had a lot of PS2 games come over to the PSP, like Tony Hawk's and SmackDown, so that was really cool as well. Man, this game, I absolutely love this game. This game is fantastic. I'm a real big fan of it. Love it. There's the UMD and the manual in there. Fantastic game. I heartily recommend it. Honestly, this is an awesome RPG. I love RPGs. As you can tell, the last couple of games I've shown you guys have all been RPGs, but this was a cool game. Alright, on to a shooter. We're on to the Bs with the Breath of Fire and Brothers in Arms D-Day. This is a pretty cool shooter. I picked this up mainly because it was really cheap, and I was looking to bulk out my collection, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I normally don't really go for shooters, but I like having a good variety of games on my system, and this is a pretty cool game. A lot of these games, I think, will have versions or similar games on the PS2, and certainly this is a game series that I believe was also on the PS2 and original Xbox, and that will be a common theme moving along here. Like with the SmackDown games, there'll be other games on the systems, but it's good to have a portable one as well. Alright, next up we have a great game series also in the Bs, and it is Bubble Bobble Evolution. Look at that cover art, that is an amazing cover art. This game is really fun, kind of a puzzle platformer, Bubble Bobble. You guys will be well familiar with the original game, I imagine, but this is, as the title would suggest, an evolved version of it. I believe in this game you can switch between characters as well, if my memory serves me correct. I think you can switch between characters. And there's like a 3D style graphics going on as well, so it's like 2.5D if you will, where some elements are 3D, but essentially you're playing 2D. This was a good game, I really enjoyed this. And this will be on one of the pickup videos. A fair few of these games will be on pickup videos down the line. Now I have that Hyperkin PSP to HDMI cable, there'll be a lot more PSP on my pickup videos coming down the line. But another great game, Bubble Bobble Evolution, and I really enjoy saying Bubble Bobble. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Bubble Bobble is a great game series. Alright, next up we have another great one as we enter the Cs, and this one is really good for you guys to see, and that is Capcom Puzzle World. I believe I picked this up fairly recently, and when I say fairly recently, I mean, you know, within the last decade or whatever. This includes a bunch of great games on it. It has Buster Bros Collection, and it has Street Fighter 2, Super Puzzle Fighter 2, sorry, Turbo that, and Block, which I believe is like an Arkanoid style game, but some awesome games in here. Super Puzzle Fighter is a sweet game. Sorry, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo is the correct name. Get it right. But man, a cool collection. I remember finding this in a charity shop. Hey, I appreciate you sharing out the stream, Sherlock. Much appreciate, my friends, for sharing out the stream and liking the video and all that good stuff, my friends. Helps put out the good word. Thank you guys very much, and I appreciate that, Sherlock. You're awesome, my friend. Again, complete with the manual and the UMD. And yeah, I believe I got this in a charity shop. I don't recall which one because I'm pretty bad with the names of the places. But yeah, this was a cool game to pick up. I remember the same charity shop had another collection, a really cool collection of games, but it didn't have the UMD on. Inside it was just a blank case. So always check when you're picking up games secondhand, especially in places like charity shop, that they actually have everything included. That's something you want to be wary of. Here's a good one, the Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles. I believe I got this from eBay just because I really wanted it. And unlockable on this is the original Castlevania Dracula X as well. I think is something you can unlock in this game as well, which is really cool. This is like a 3D remake, if you will. Again, 2.5D because the items in the game, like the backgrounds and the characters themselves, are 3D, but the gameplay is still 2D, and it's a remake of Dracula X. But yeah, it says on the bonus features you can get the original versions of Dracula X Rondo of Blood and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You can play on this as well, the original versions, which is really cool. So this was a really good collection. I really wanted it, which is why I went to eBay. I try and avoid picking stuff up off eBay if I can, because ultimately I want to find stuff, you know, at my local shops if I can, because that's the way I prefer to grab it. But honestly, an awesome collection, especially when you consider that the originals are on there as well. And this is complete with the UMD and the manual. Another game that has some really striking artwork behind the case. Look at that. That looks awesome. The face of Dracula staring into the face of death as you open up and play your game. And I appreciate that the manual has different artwork on it as well. The manual has different artwork from the front cover, which is always nice. I like to see some variation there. Again, with the face of Dracula on it once again, which is pretty sweet. Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles. Alright, next up we have Coded Arms for the PSP. This is a shooter game, and I remember this one's actually pretty good. Shooter games have always been a bit kind of awkward on the PSP because of the controllers I've already discussed. You don't have a real thumbstick. The images on the back, and I know that my webcam doesn't like focusing onto them anyway, so are going to be pretty small, so you might not be able to see. But nevertheless, this is a cool game. The PSP had some really great graphics. There you go. That also has the UMD and the manual, which actually the artwork in here has reminded me of X-Men. That has a very strong X-Men feel to it. That's what I'm getting looking at this. So there you go. That is Coded Arms on the PSP. And next up, we have a game that, of course, I have to have. If I have the Final Fantasy VII model of the PSP, I have to have this. And it is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. A game from the Final Fantasy VII universe that is on the PSP, which is really cool. I'm glad that they did this. They also did Dirge of Cerberus on the PS2 as well, so expanding that Final Fantasy VII story as well. It's cool that they did this sort of thing. I like that we got more Final Fantasy VII out on different systems. Of course, there is a Final Fantasy VII remake coming out soon as well. It's nice to see old school games. I know, right? The good thing about old school games as well, if you're collecting now, and again, actually, I really like that the artwork on the manual is different to the front cover. And the good thing about collecting old school games as well is I find, like I say, I go to charity shops a lot. I find PSP games all the time for like £1 or £2. These are really, really cheap and easy to pick up, and especially with the advent of the Hyperkin HDMI cable, I will be able to stream them down the line. I'm going to get myself a new PSP because I think getting a new PSP is going to be easier than fixing the battery and the home button issue on my current PSP. Plus, I like all the different colours as well anyway, so it's kind of cool and it's kind of nice to collect more PSPs. Alright, we've got another great game series here actually. Crazy Taxi, the Fair Wars. And it's all fair game in Crazy Taxi, see what I did there? And this is a bunch of mini games, essentially short fair trips for Crazy Taxi. I believe they take these courses from the existing games, but there might be original courses in there. Yeah, Crazy Taxi and Crazy Taxi 2 to the PSP. So they're taking areas from both of those games. And man, I loved Crazy Taxi. It's a great game series. If you play it on the Dreamcast or if you play it on the PS2, whichever your preferred way of playing with it, it's a great game series. And this is also complete with the manual and the UMD included as well. UMDs were a really cool idea because they had they could fit more on them than a cartridge at the time, so it allowed these games to be more complex. But of course, they were optical media. So they were disc-based media, so the loading times were not so great, which is one bad thing about the PSP, I think. Alright, next up we have Crush, and I believe this is a puzzle platformer. This is a fairly recent pickup. I remember showing this off at the end of one of my live streams. Often at the end of a live stream, I might show off some games I picked up. There you go. Change Your World. It's a weird game, but again, it was a game I got really cheap. And it's exclusive to the system, and it's cool to pick this sort of thing up. And this is the sort of thing I really look for when I'm looking for obscure games, because I like getting the games that are unheard of. And yeah, this is certainly a very interesting game, and I'm glad to have that in the collection. Crush for the PSP. Alright, another game series that got an entry onto the PSP. This is Dead to Rights Reckoning. This is a third-person shooter. And the PSP version is pretty cool actually. I remember playing this and it's quite enjoyable. It almost feels like arena combat because you're put into an area and you have to dispatch all of the bad guys before you proceed to the next area. So in that sense, it almost feels like an arena combat game. But it was really cool. You get a bit of platforming in there, but for the most part, it's just crush everyone. And this version is exclusive to the PSP as well, so that's pretty sweet. Complete with the UMD and the manual in there as well. Pretty cool game. I remember playing this on a pickup video, recording the footage for it, and it was a lot of fun. It was one of those games I didn't want to put down because it was so much fun. Talking about games that are fun and you don't want to put them down, a game series I absolutely adore is the Dynasty Warriors series. So I had to pick up Dynasty Warriors on the PSP. I remember this was one of my original purchases, or one of them was. I had a Dynasty Warriors for the PSP, even if I lost it and had to pick it up again. Dynasty Warriors, you know, if I see that on any system, I'm probably going to pick up the system. And this is, you know, take the action anywhere you go with Dynasty Warriors action coming with you on the go. Really cool. I mean, it's just Dynasty Warriors on the PSP. I want to say the loading times were bad, but, you know, the loading times were bad on any PSP game. I remember, Sherlock, you mentioned the SmackDown vs. Raw games. I remember creating a character on one of those games, and between choosing different hairstyles for the character, you got like a loading between each choice, and it took forever. But, you know, a great system nonetheless, graphically impressive. And this as well is complete with the UMD and the manual in there. As complete as I can get them, I will do so. Alright, next up, we have, conveniently, Dynasty Warriors Volume 2. I want to say that this was an original PSP game, or it could just be a rehash of Dynasty Warriors 2. I honestly don't recall, but it's just Dynasty Warriors. Any Dynasty Warriors game, when you put it down to it, it's a generic hack and slash game. But that's nothing bad. There's nothing bad about it. I really like the hack and slash in these games. They're nice games to pick up for a bit of hack and slash action. The good fun for a short time. The games that you can play for a little bit and then move on to something else. So that's really cool. Dynasty Warriors Volume 2 for the PSP. If you got what Volume 1, you might as well have Volume 2. Alright. Now I remember this was a recent pickup because it was on a recent video game pickups video I did, where I was able to get gameplay footage. And this is Fat Princess Fistful of Cake. And I remember I got this from CEX, and I only got it because of that name, Fat Princess Fistful of Cake. And that is the only reason I picked this up. It's a multiplayer game, red versus blue essentially. And the princesses are supersized in this game, if you will. But it's an interesting game. It's an interesting game. It is essentially just a big old multiplayer game. But it is pretty cool. And this wasn't bad by any means. And there you go. There's some artwork in the back there of a fat princess being carried off, which is pretty funny. And there's the artwork there. So red versus blue. It is a team game, and this also did have PlayStation Network capabilities. But you know, obviously, I don't know if they're usable now. I know that my PSP can't connect to my current type of internet. So I don't know if any of these features are still available. I don't believe you can do online stuff with the PSP anymore. But you know, a humorous game, and it should be taken as such. All right. Next up, we have a fantastic series of games. Since we're in the Fs, we've got to talk about Final Fantasy. And Final Fantasy got a bunch of games ported to the PSP and the DS. Certainly not as ridiculous as the Fat Princess games, which were just being ridiculous. This is a solid, serious RPG action fun. And yeah, these were essentially remakes of the original games. They look absolutely beautiful, and I've got a bunch of these to show you. And they are fantastic. Absolutely love them. Look at the artwork of the manual there. Just beautiful looking games. Really, the original Final Fantasy on the NES, you know, the graphics certainly had a lot of room for improvement, and they could certainly take it miles ahead, which they did in this game. This game has full motion cutscenes and all that kind of stuff. It looks absolutely amazing. So a really good way to play the original Final Fantasy. Next up, we have Final Fantasy II on the PSP. Now I got this in one of my game hunting videos. I remember showing this up. This is actually a Japanese copy, as you can see on the side here. But fortunately, these games support multiple languages, and the PSP is for the most part region free. So this game will just play in English, as you can see on my pickup video that included this as well. I can play this in English, and certainly my pickup videos will have better looking footage going forward, since I can now use that Hyperkin PSP HDMI cable. And this game is awesome. Again, a remake of Final Fantasy II with full, there's full motion cutscenes in there that look absolutely amazing. The graphics and the gameplay have been enhanced unbelievably. It's just a really cool looking game, and it's absolutely beautiful as well. Everything about this looks amazing. The manual is really cool as well. Just showing off. There's also that little leaflet there, but the manual is full color, and there's artwork throughout, which is just amazing. And having the full color and everything in here is just really awesome. I've gone to a random page for Town Guide, evidently, but just having full color is really awesome. And there you go. This is a little cooler, character artwork. You see all the characters in their glory there, which is really awesome. So I really like. This is part of the reason I like manuals. It's just really cool to have them, and it really shows off the game as well. It gives you something to look at. But I can play this game on my PSP, and I can play it in English as well. Final Fantasy II on the PSP Japanese copy. Alright, next up, we have another Final Fantasy game, actually a collection of games, if you will. And this is Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection. This includes Final Fantasy IV, the redone version, and it also includes an expanded part of the story as well, which is really cool, the After Years. This is awesome. This is a collector's edition, I believe. I remember I got this from CEX, and it includes a load of bonus features as well. As you can see at the bottom there, it just has a ton of bonus content. They're really awesome. And yet again, this game looks absolutely fantastic. The case opens up, which is amazing. It looks absolutely beautiful. I believe this was supposed to come with art cards. Yeah, I still have the art cards with it, so I'll show them off. Sweet. Look at that. There's full artwork inside of here as well. And I've got these double-sided art cards, it looks like, which is really sweet, that came with it. I love these kind of extras. So I'll show these off to you. Love these kind of extras. They're absolutely amazing. Here's the next one. These look so good as well. These look so cool as these little additions. These are all the sort of extras that really get the collectors like myself going, because they're just awesome. And here's the next one. I mean, look at the detail on these artworks. They're so nice. They're so cool. I love seeing this. I love seeing these sort of extras in my games. That's really cool. And surprisingly, I got this from CEX, and it was all complete. I believe the art cards were sealed when I got it. I don't recall, but I think the art cards were sealed. Naturally, I unsealed them because, I want to use them. Oh, I say use them. I want to look at them. And yeah, let's get the game out of this thing and show you that, because the game itself also looks great. It looks amazing. The cover art there looks fantastic, including some extra content on this collector's edition as well, which is really awesome. So I was really happy to find this, and it's an awesome game to add to the collection. Even though RPGs take a long time to play, they're certainly worth it, because this is a cool RPG and a really awesome one at that. All right, let me slip this back into its case, and we'll move on to the next game, which will be another Final Fantasy game. It is Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions. Another great Final Fantasy game to get on the system. And pretty much I will pick up any PSP game as long as I can find it cheap. If it's an RPG, I might consider paying a little bit more for them, because RPGs tend to go for a little bit more. But most of these games I picked up pretty cheap. Hey Bucky, appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for dropping a like. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. You're awesome. Cheers, Bucky. Much appreciated. And this is also complete with the manual and the UMD. Actually, one problem I have about the UMDs, as you can see there, that UMD has some artwork on it. It's really hard to show you guys the artwork on the UMDs themselves, because if it was a regular disc, I could turn it around, which I can't do that on a UMD. But you know, it's functional to stop them getting messed around inside the system. Hey Pala, how you doing, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. You need to build up your PSP collection. You only have 5 games. 5 good games, I imagine, though. It's really easy to build up PSP collections these days. Places like CEX have them. Next game is Fired Up. Places like CEX have them for like a couple of pounds. So I recommend just going out to those type of places, and you can certainly pick up a lot of great games. This also includes a Wipeout demo. I have the sticker on there still. Racing game here, Fired Up. The big paycheck. You certainly won't need a big paycheck to get a large amount of PSP games, because they're really easy to come by these days. And like I said, most of these games I got for a couple of pounds. Those that I didn't pick up back in the day when they were new, a large amount of these I would have picked up after the fact. Certainly a lot cheaper now than they were back then. Plus, I don't think there's a huge demand for PSP games, so it's often really easy to grab them. Alright, next up. Siphon Filter games were not good on the PSP. Yeah, the controls weren't so great. The controls weren't so great for a lot of games, to be fair. The thumbstick wasn't great. Games that use the D-pad fared a lot better. Next up, we have Gangs of London. This is like a GTA style game on the PSP. Another cool game. Another game I picked up very cheap. I certainly didn't pay very much for this game. And that is Gangs of London, which doesn't want to focus, but there you go. You can sort of get the gist of the gameplay, even if it doesn't want to focus onto it. You can see there's shooting elements and driving elements included in this game. All right, and there's the UMD and the manual in there as well as some cool artwork behind there as well, which many of the games have. All right, next up we have Ghost in a Shell, the standalone complex. This was a game I had with the PSP originally, and it's a really interesting game. It's cool to get a game from this series, which is kind of cool. Again, it doesn't want to quite focus on it. The webcam auto focuses, so it doesn't quite like the reflective cases, and this is complete with the manual and the UMD as well. That's you know, that's gonna happen when we do things live. But I appreciate you guys being with me to enjoy this PSP collection video live. You guys are awesome. On the GM mode, The Rock was on Velocity. yeah, I don't think you'd see The Rock on Velocity. I think I remember seeing. Next up, we have God of War Chains of Olympus. At the time, this was exclusive to the PSP, I think, but it got ported in a collection to the PS3. So you can get this on the PS3 in a collection, I'm pretty sure, these days. But there you go. Oh, now it wants to focus. This is a hack and slash style game with platforming elements. A really cool game, part of the God of War series. Yeah, I think I remember seeing Triple H on Heat or something versus Perry Saturn, but very few times you would see the big names in the smaller shows. There's some awesome artwork behind here as well, which I will show you. There you go. I like it when they have artwork behind the manual and on the back of the case as well, because otherwise it's just blank. Speaking of Grand Theft Auto style games, next up we have Grand Theft Auto: The Liberty City Stories. I believe this also came to the PS2 or another system, or a home console rather than a portable down the line as well. These are extra missions, expanded missions. I think this one was GTA 3, if I'm not wrong, but I believe there's one for Vice City Stories as well. And it's just more GTA content, which is always fun. And there you go, complete with the manual, and I think there's a map there as well. There's normally a map and the UMD. There's normally a map with these kind of games, and there's the background art there. Yeah, there's normally a map and a sort, which can also be used as a sort of poster. But look at that manual. I like how it's presented as a newspaper. And then there'll be a map here that should look like a poster on one side as well. The Godfather 2 get released for the PSP. I couldn't say. I know there are Godfather games out there, but I don't know what systems they're for. So on one side we have the map of Liberty City, and on the other side we have a poster, which is pretty cool as well. I like that you get these. I try to keep them in good condition, so I keep them inside. The case. If I had doubles, maybe I'll put them up. But there you go. Need more games for yours, Nick? Yeah, they're easy to get hold of these days. PSP games, super cheap. It's a great system, and you know, places like CEX do them for real cheap these days. Next up, we have a kind of RPG mini game compilation, I would say. It is Half Minute Hero. This game series. This game is a series of mini games. There you go. I can talk. Each of these mini games, you know, you get half a minute, as it suggests. Really cool. They have different style of games, from traditional RPG to kind of side-scrolling parts in this game. It is a really interesting game. You got 30 seconds to save the world, but obviously that would make a really short game. Essentially, you have to traverse through time and figure out ways to defeat the bad guy. It's a really awesome RPG. Actually, I very much recommend it. Half Minute Hero, complete here with the UMD and the manual. There you go, Half Minute Hero. Very cool game there. Next up is another really cool game and a recent addition. I believe this was on one of my recent pickup videos. 14 PSP games for £30 on Amazon. Yeah, you can get them real cheap these days. Exactly, you can get a good quantity. You know, if you're looking at places like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, you can probably find people selling off their PSP system and collections for real cheap. This game is Infected. This is a third-person shooter, PSP exclusive, and I had this on one of my recent pickup videos. I think December. And it's a very interesting game. It's got music from Slipknot in it. It is a very interesting game. It's a very dark game. You know, there's a lot of dark humor in it. But it is a fun game. It is a fun game. Got music from Slipknot in it. It's just all out mayhem. Another game like Fat Princess. It doesn't take itself seriously. You shouldn't take this game seriously. It's not out there to offend anybody. It's just out there to be funny. Infected on the PSP. Next up, we have a game called Innocent Life, a Futuristic Harvest Moon. Now, I hadn't even heard about this until I picked it up. And honestly, it sounds like a really cool concept. It is a futuristic version of Harvest Moon. It's exactly that. I used to love the Harvest Moon games. On my GameCube, I absolutely loved Harvest Moon. I lost my copy on the GameCube, actually. I only recently recovered it, but absolutely loved it. So having one of these games you can take on the go is fantastic. This is complete with the manual and the UMD. A game I need to put some time into. These are the type of games you can sink a lot of time into it if you let yourself. Innocent Life, a Futuristic Harvest Moon. This looks really cool. Alright, next up, we have a hack and slash, and it is Key of Heaven. This is really cool. It's got a very deep narrative to it as well. This is a hack and slash game. I remember covering this on one of my pickup videos. A very, very cool game. I like this one a lot, and it plays very well. Definitely a hidden gem. I would recommend this if you were going to pick up a PSP. I would definitely recommend this one. Very, very cool game. Very deep story to it. Look at that artwork inside of there as well. Different artwork on the manual, which I always love. Look at that artwork. Man. Let's take these out and show it. I'll even take out the UMD this time around, because it looks like the artwork goes behind it as well. Some cool artwork in there. Man, that's awesome. That is some very nice inside artwork. You could almost use this as a reversible cover, if you will. But I like having the info on the back there of the case. I like having that, so I'll keep it as it is. Because I always like seeing the info on the back of the case as well. But certainly you could use that. I like the Mortal Kombat games. I do have a couple of Mortal Kombat games. I'm not a great fighting game player, but I certainly do like playing them, even though I'm not very good at them. Hey, Clower Games, welcome my friend. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. We've still got certainly a bunch of PSP games left to show. How are you doing, my friend? Next up is Killzone Liberation, a first-person shooter. I've never been great at the Killzone games. Funnily enough, we're talking about Mortal Kombat games, which I'm not great at. I'm not great at the Killzone games, but I had to have it. I had to have a first-person shooter like Killzone on the system. Had to have it. It doesn't look like I have a manual in here, but I do have the UMD in there. So I like to have a good variety of games if I can help it. I like to have a good variety of games. So Killzone, gotta have some Killzone on the PSP. Next up we have Kingdom Hearts: Birth by Sleep. Now I don't know where this fits. This is a collector's edition, I think. I think this is a collector's edition because it's all shiny. I can't remember. But there you go. Birth by Sleep. It could just be the regular edition, but there you go. This is an RPG game for the PSP, part of the Kingdom Hearts series. I don't know where it fits in the series for Kingdom Hearts. I have no idea where it actually ends up. But this is complete with the manual and the UMD. I might be thinking of another game. No, actually, it says not to be sold separately on the back. So I feel like this is a bundle copy or something like that. Yeah, at the back here it says not to be sold separately. I think this is a bundle pack. But then again, I'm pretty sure this should have had a. Maybe it should have had an outer sleeve or something, and I'm missing the outer sleeve. Perhaps, I don't know. I'm not very familiar with the Kingdom Hearts series. It's a game series I came to later down the line. But it's really cool anyway. Like the Final Fantasy series, there's a lot of games in Kingdom Hearts, and in Kingdom Hearts are in a crazy kind of order. So I'm not sure where this lies in there, but certainly I've got to get to them at some point. There you go, Kingdom Hearts: Birth by Sleep. Killzone 3 was your gaming life. Nice. Killzone 3 and 4. There's some cool games. I remember playing them and I kept getting stuck. But they're good games. Alright, a game series I absolutely adore. Lemmings for the PSP. Now, I used to love this on the Commodore Amiga. I used to absolutely love this game. I think this is the game you would want to use a mouse for. I'm not sure how this would work using the PSP controls, but I had to pick it up anyway. It looks like they've changed up the graphics a little bit on the back here. I remember picking this up from Big E's Games and DVDs before they moved location. And certainly anything Lemmings related I'm going to pick up because I absolutely love the Lemmings games. Puzzle games, absolutely fantastic. Almost a scene from the games there where you're getting the Lemmings to the exit. Absolutely great game series. They had a bunch of games on the Amiga. They ported them to different systems as well. You probably want to use a mouse for these games. But certainly I absolutely love Lemmings, so I had to have a Lemmings game on the PSP. Alright, next up we have Medieval Resurrection. And my camera freaked out about that. It's so scary. Medieval Resurrection. And I believe this is a remake. Like, not a remaster, but like a complete remake of the first game. So I believe it's like different as well. But it is interesting. I think this one is exclusive to the PSP as well. But there you go. A cool game. I love the Medieval game series. I remember playing on the PlayStation 1. I used to have a demo which had stuff like Spyro and Medieval. So like I have memories of playing Medieval on the PlayStation 1, but I might not have had it. I might have had a demo that I just played over and over. But certainly love Medieval. Great game, and this is cool to have. Also has some artwork behind the manual there. By the way, great artwork on that manual as well. Different artwork from the front cover, which is one of the things I really like, and some fantastic artwork on the inside of the case as well. Medieval Resurrection, and I think recently there was a new Medieval game out, right? That's pretty cool as well. Love me some Medieval. Next up we have some Mega Man. We have Mega Man Maverick Hunter X for the PSP. Side-scrolling action. Now this game has sort of a 3D look to the characters, which is very different from what I would be used to playing on the Mega Man games. But there you go. There's a lot of Mega Man games. Again, they have kind of confusing names, so I'm not sure where this fits in them. But it's certainly cool. Again, you got to have a Mega Man game. You got to have a Mega Man game on the system. And there you go. It is complete with the manual and the UMD as well. Maverick Hunter X Mega Man. Love it. Next up, we have a Metal Gear game. Metal Gear Acid. Now, I don't remember much about this one. I don't think this is the card game. I can't remember. I know there was a card game, but I don't think this was it. It may well have been though, because I don't remember. There was a card game for the PSP, but this is an all new gear for your Metal Gear, as it describes itself. Metal Gear Acid on the PSP. They had a couple of entries on the PSP, which was cool. I believe some of them also got ported to the PS3. You had that demo for the PlayStation. Yeah. The demos were awesome. The UMD fell out because the case is slightly damaged, but there you go. There's the manual there, and there's some sweet artwork actually behind these guys that you can see. I love it when they have some really nice artwork in the inlays. That's really awesome. There's a separate book here for the limited edition card book. Okay, so this must be the card game. I see. Yep, it has information about all of the cards. There you go. They use cards to do your action in this game. It's all coming back to me now because I have played this game a little. It's just been a while. I think it was one of the games I originally had for the PSP, and then I lost my copy and I had to reclaim. There you go, Metal Gear Acid. Hey Mana, how you doing, my friend? It was added to the Legacy Collection on the PS3. I know some of the games like that were made available to the PS3. I honestly can't remember. It's like Godfather games. I don't know exactly where. I should have done my research really, but yeah, I don't know. Probably. I feel like there was a collection. I know the God of War game was moved on to the PS3, but I'm not sure about the Metal Gear Solid games. You know what? I feel like I may have picked it up as well. I mean, let me think. Have I picked it up? No, it doesn't look like it, because I feel like I have, or I intend to pick it up. Let me think, have I picked it up for the God of War? No, I haven't picked it up either, but they do exist. I was looking across, because my PS3 games are sort of here, and across from here, down from my PS2 onto my PS4, so I was wondering if it might be across from me. Anyway, as evident, I don't know what I'm talking about. What I do know is I have another Metal Gear Solid game, and it is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. And this one I think is on the PS3, but then again, don't listen to me because I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. But this one is not a card game, so there you go. And a very cool game, good cinematics. Sometimes the cinematics on the Metal Gear games are a bit long. The PS Vita's Uncharted game was cool. Yeah, you know, I have a PlayStation TV, which is how I play my Vita games, but I don't actually have a PlayStation Vita. I don't actually have one. I would love to get a PlayStation Vita. Then I could play my I'll show you the artwork behind there as well. Then I could play stuff like the Uncharted game, because you can't play the Uncharted game on the PlayStation TV because it uses like everything the Vita has. Man, you know what? It's really stupid that the PlayStation Vita itself didn't just have a HDMI out, because the PSP had component out on the 2000 and 3000 models. I don't know if you guys have seen my my last live stream, which was an unboxing of the Hyperkin PSP to HDMI cable, which is what inspired me to do this video. But it's really stupid that the PSP, the later models, had an output function, but the Vita didn't. I mean, it's crazy, right? The Vita should have had a video out function. It really should have done. It really, really should have done. Anyway, we were speaking about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat Unchained. It's Unchained. This has a lot of extra modes on it as well. It's got puzzle modes. I like having a good variety of games on my systems. As you can see there, it's got kind of like a chess game and a puzzle game as well. It's pretty cool. Also has a one-on-one fighting. This is a game that doesn't really suffer from being on the PSP, because you can use the D-pad, and certainly the D-pad is how you want to play this game. I can't imagine playing a fighting game with a thumbstick. I just can't imagine it really. You want to use the D-pad, so the D-pad is good for this. It's also good for side-scrollers and stuff like that. Alright, we have a collector's edition here, and this is Motorstorm Arctic Edge. This one I can tell is a collector's edition because it still has the outer case. And check that out. It's so shiny. I got this for a couple of pounds in CEX. They priced it as a normal one. That and another one, which I'll show you down the line. A really cool game, actually. A racing game. The case is so shiny. I know my camera's not going to like it. But there you go, collector's edition. It includes a bunch of extra stuff. I want to say it includes art cards, but we'll have a look. We'll have a look at this. And there's the actual case. Not nearly as impressive. And to be completely fair, I only got this because it was a collector's edition. That's the only reason I got it, because it was so pretty. Alright, and there's the inside, but it's actually a pretty fun game. It's a pretty fun game, a nice fast racer. It looks like there are the art cards complete in here as well, so I'll show you them. I'll show you the back of the case there as well. Let's have a look at these art cards. There's a bunch of extra pieces of paper in here as well, but I'll show you guys the art cards as well. They're pretty cool. The collector's edition content. I like these actually. Like I said, I like getting this sort of stuff in addition to the regular content. Just really nice stuff to have from a collector point of view. Really awesome to have those. I'll go ahead and put everything back in the case as well. And then we'll move on to the next game. A bunch of great games on the PSP. Mortal Kombat Deception. Yeah, I got Deception for the PS2 actually. You know, for the PS2 actually, it's even Mortal Kombat Deception. No, yeah, I've got a DVD actually as well. I'll go grab it. I say I'll go grab it, as well as Mortal Kombat Deception. You know what would be easier if I just used two hands? There we go. I got Mortal Kombat Deception, and I got Mortal Kombat Deception, like a DVD as well. So I got Mortal Kombat Deception there. For the PS2. I shouldn't really be showing PS2 games on a PSP Collection video. But I also have like a little DVD that came with it as well, the collector's edition DVD, which is really cool. I've shown these off before on my PS2 Collection video. So yeah, but those are cool. Those are cool things to have. I quite like my collector's edition, collector's extras if I can. I also have another DVD that came for Deadly Alliance, and I don't have Deadly Alliance yet, which is pretty funny. All right, next game. Star Ocean 2, Third Birthday. Third Birthday is a great game actually from the Parasite Eve series, and Lunar Silver Star Harmony. Those are great games. Those are great RPGs. Like those are good games that will certainly take you a long time to complete as well. So that's really cool. I've seen those games out there as well, and yeah, the RPGs are often more expensive, so they're harder to pick up. Hey Sean, how you doing, my friend? The Great Gamer. Appreciate you being here, my friend. As we go over some PSP games. Back to PSP, I should say. This is a Namco Museum Battle Collection. This is a great series of games. Absolutely great. Fantastic series of games. You have Pac-Man arrangement, which is really good as well. Dig Dug arrangement. There's also classic versions as well as the arrangements. But, you know, if you've already played the classic games, the arrangements on here are really cool. You have Gallagher arrangement as well. And Rally X. This is full, absolutely full of retro goodness. So many games on here, plus there's some updated arranged versions, which are really cool. Something I very much recommend anyone on the PSP to grab is the Namco Museum Battle Collection. They keep releasing Namco Museum titles, to be fair, but I feel like some of the modern ones come with less games, so you probably want to grab some of the older ones. Look at all the great titles in there. Absolutely love them. I mean, I would have picked this up just for Galaga and Galaxian, but it's got other games on it as well. Absolutely amazing. Namco Museum Battle Collection on the PSP. Another collection we have coming up as well. Pac-Man. Pac-Man is fantastic as well. I love Pac-Man. I love the arranged versions as well, where they add a little bit different as well. Silver Star Story Eternal Blue for PSP? I have no idea. But there's a bunch of great games on the PSP for sure. Next up we have a PlayStation Network collection. This is the sort of thing I really do like to pick up. Collections of games. Now, to be fair, this has 3 games on it, but you can only play 2 of them. It includes Beats and Flow and Siphon Filter Combat Ops, and you can't play Combat Ops anymore because that's online only. But I pretty much got this just for Flow, but otherwise these would be online only. Hey, appreciate that, Pala. Much appreciated. Thank you for your kind words. You guys are awesome. But Flow is awesome. flow is absolutely amazing. That's what I got this for. And it's a really kind of psychedelic looking, I would describe it as a shooter, like a multi-directional shooter, a bit like Robotron. Absolutely amazing game. I love it. That was in a recent pickup video as well. If you guys want to see gameplay footage for it, it was in one of my recent pickup videos. A game that I showed off, Puzzle Bobble, Bust a Move. I've heard of Bust a Move, but for Puzzle Bobble, do you mean like Bubble Bobble? Is that like a different Bubble Bobble? I showed Bubble Bobble earlier. Bust a Move. I don't have Bust a Move on. I don't have if there is a one on the PSP. I don't have one, but I actually don't have Bust a Move anyway. But it is a cool game. Next up, I showed this game on my PSP Hyperkin video for the HDMI cable. This is a 2D platformer with hack and slash elements. Well, 2.5D because it's got 3D models. Prinny, Can I Really Be a Hero? This character is from the Disgaea series, and absolutely love this game. It's very humorous, dude. Very humorous game, and I very much recommend this as well. There's a sequel to this as well, Prinny 2. There's also some downloadable content for this, which I have no idea how you would do that, because you can't download anything for the PSP anymore. At least I don't think you can. So you can't download it. But this is complete with the UMD and the manual. Absolutely fantastic game. And I showed this off on my PSP to HDMI video. So you guys can check that out. You'll see some gameplay footage of this. Great game as well. Next up, we have I'm going to call this a racing game, but it's more of an action racing game, Pursuit Force. I guess what I would compare this to would be Road Rage, in a way, except in this game, you jump from vehicle to vehicle while pursuing your target. Another cool game. I really like this one. One I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would, actually. And it's got the manual in there, and the UMD, and some cool comic book style artwork inside the case as well. So that's pretty cool. And as well as Pursuit Force, I also have Pursuit Force Extreme Justice. And this is a platinum. You can tell because it's got this absolutely disgusting platinum case. Absolutely disgusting. I don't like the silver cases, not one bit. Overseas, I don't know what you guys had instead of platinum. I want to say you guys had greater hits. Either way, I don't like the case variation. It's just not very nice. I prefer the cases as they were. And even the inside of the case is silver as well. Like, you wouldn't, if there was any inside artwork, which it wouldn't be for the platinum version anyway, I don't think, you wouldn't be able to see it because the entire inside of the case is silver. But, you know, nevertheless, this is a great game. I got it really cheap. Probably wouldn't run across it that often, so that's why I picked it up. But Pursuit Force Extreme Justice. Alright, next up we have Rengoku, the Tower of Purgatory. There you go. The Tower of Purgatory. This is a hack and slash game, a 3D hack and slash game, a very interesting game for the PSP. I want to say it's exclusive from Konami as well, so you know it's going to be good. Very, very cool looking game, even if the camera doesn't want to focus on it. Awesome game. And yeah, this game is very cool. I want to say that that you could change your limbs in this game, like you're a robot, and you could attach different items to your arms to make yourself more powerful. Had a very deep story as you ascend this tower in this game. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Rengoku there. Alright, next up we have another collector's edition, and this is Resistance Retribution. Look at that cover. Initially I only picked this up because it was a collector's edition and it was really cheap, but in actual fact I really enjoy the Resistance games, which I picked up later. They're on the PS3 and they're pretty cool, and I believe if you attach this to your PS3 somehow, you can use a PS3 controller, which would be way easier, because this is not a game you could easily control on a PSP, because it is a first-person shooter. You'd be much better advised using your PS3 controller if you had the ability to do so. Because I want to say it used the circle, X, triangle, square buttons to aim, which was not good. But there you go. It didn't have the double thumbstick like the like the Vita did, which was a much better way of doing things. And there you go, there's some artwork inside there as well. But yeah, I believe there's a way to get this onto the big screen through the PS3. I don't remember how. I think it's on one of the other games. It says on the back, hook up Resistance 2 for PS3 to infect your PSP system with extras. Okay. Well, I thought you could actually play this on the big screen with the controller. I may not be right. I said don't trust anything I say. So don't trust anything I say. Battlefront 2 for PS1 disc was silver. Yeah, the PS1 Platinum games had silver discs as well, which was also disgusting because you didn't get the disc art. Man, yeah, I'm not a big fan of platinum cases. They always stick out. I mean, to be fair, in Europe we had these ugly. You can see my PS2 games. They have these ugly white spines. They're just ugly. I know overseas you guys had individual artwork on them, like the PS3. You know. They just don't look very nice. They look like barcodes. I used to have the stream facing my PlayStation 2 games. The stream would be facing there. So, and people would think I was in front of like barcodes or products rather than games. They don't look great, do they? All right. Next up, we have our Samurai Warriors: State of War. This is another Dynasty Warriors style game, and that's really all there is to say about it. It is just a hack and slash game. But, you know, it's great to have this kind of game on the PSP. This is exactly the kind of game you want to take on the go for some hack and slash action, for short stops. There you go. And it is complete with the UMD and the manual. Alright, next up. We have the Sega Mega Drive Collection. This is a awesome collection of games. There's a Sega Mega Drive collection on every single system, really. Absolutely every system. I appreciate you being here, Sean. Much appreciated, my friend. 27 games in this collection. Mega Drive Classics. Now, there's going to be Mega Drive Classics on every single thing. Absolutely every single thing in the world. This includes a bunch of great games. Of course, there's going to be Sonic on there. Of course, there's going to be Sonic. It includes Sonic the Hedgehog, Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4, Echo the Dolphin, Alex Kidd Enchanted Castle, Bonanza Bros, Kid Charmeleon, Flicky, Gain Ground, Super Thunderblade, and Sword of Vermilion, Vector Man 1 and 2, and many more. Plus, you can unlock exclusive arcade titles. I'm not sure why they have you unlock stuff. For a collection, I would much prefer they just have it. How awesome a collection of Sega. It's a pretty good collection of Sega. I think the PS4 collection of Sega is really good because that has like 40 games on it. Also, the Mega Drive Mini is a good collection as well. But, you know, I prefer playing on the original hardware when appropriate. But these collections are a really good and cheap way to get a big collection of games in one. I was about to say cartridge, but, you know, UMD or disc, if you will. A great way of doing it. And, you know, Comic Zone is on here, so you could pick this up for like £8 or something, I think it goes for. That's cheaper than getting Comic Zone for the Mega Drive, for sure. Absolutely. And there's some great games on here as well. And there you go, complete with the disc manual. This was also on the PS2. I remember this was on the PS2. But, you know, you got it on the go if you got it on the PSP. So there you have it. Alright, we have... Star Ocean, First Departure, an RPG. There's a ton of Star Ocean games. There's also a ton of them on the PSP, and I would like to get them all. I see them around a lot, but often the RPGs are going to be more expensive because they're more desirable. So I'm slowly trying to grab all of those RPG games. But for the most part, I'm gonna grab the cheaper games on the system. But RPGs are awesome. I will definitely pay a little bit more for RPGs because you're gonna get more enjoyment out of them, more time out of them because they're longer games. But awesome, and it's really cool as well how there were so many RPGs on the PSP. Really, a system took advantage of having that optical media. All right, another RPG here, kind of Diablo or Baldur's Gate PS2 style. It is Silverfall. This game was also on the PC. For the PC, there's an expansion for this. which you won't get on the PSP, unfortunately, unless it was made available for download, and if it was, it won't be available anymore, unfortunately. But there was an expansion for this, which you won't be able to get on the PSP. Certainly, it probably plays a little better on the PC, but it's awesome to have this. Reminds me of the Untold Heroes games, or the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games, if you will, and of course the Diablo games. Has very much that style of play to it, complete with the UMD and the manual. Next up, we have Space Invaders Evolution. This was a fairly recent pickup. Again, I got this for very cheap. I haven't played this yet, actually, because I remember the artwork on the back confused me. Like, it doesn't look like your regular Space Invaders game, so I'm not sure what to make of it. But then again, it can't be as bad as that. It can't be as bad as Space Invaders Invasion Day, can it? Can it? Can it? No, it can't. It can't be as bad as that. But there you go. Space Invaders Evolution. I just want regular Space Invaders. That'll do me fine. Space Invaders Evolution for the PSP. Alright, next up we have Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron. Part of the Battlefront game series. Plays very much the same way, third-person shooter with some hack and slash elements. If you manage to get your hands on a lightsaber, that is, a bunch of arena-style combat modes to enjoy. Can't remember if this has a single player or not. Hopefully, it does. Yeah, it says there's a story mode, which is pretty cool. Because I know they did a Battlefront 1 and 2 on the modern systems, which is a bit confusing because the originals were Battlefront 1 and 2. But I think Battlefront 1 on the modern systems doesn't have a story mode, which kind of throws me off. Alright, and there's some stickers in here, which I will dispatch. Take that, stickers! Even though there's still some random numbers in there, in pen. Alright, and there is the UMD and some random numbers in permanent marker for some reason. Probably how the store would catalogue it. And there's some artwork on the back of there as well. Next up we have another Star Wars game, because Star Wars is awesome. This, I think, was an exclusive to the PSP, and it is Star Wars Lethal Alliance. You know what would be helpful, actually, is if they had written on the covers of these, exclusive. I know the Xbox used to write only on Xbox on them. Hey, a wild Jonan appears. How you doing, Jonan? Good to see you, my friend. There's definitely no Pokemon game on a Sony system, though. Red Dead Redemption was released for PSP. That would be really sweet, actually. What they could have done is kind of like a smaller version of Red Dead Redemption, which would be more focused on duels. That would have been pretty sweet, like a shooter version. I mean, I guess I'm just making up my own game here, so which would be completely different, but that would be sweet. More like a shooter game. That would be pretty sweet. Because I remember getting a light gun game on the PS2 recently. That was the cowboy game, and that was awesome. I can't remember the name of it though, because my memory's terrible. Hey, Zombie, appreciate you watching from work, my friend. You're awesome, but thanks for being here, buddy. I really appreciate it. Even though you're at work, that's dedication, my friend. You're awesome. Alright, this is a hack and slash and a sort of platformer game, Star Wars game. Really awesome game, cool to have on the system. I'm not sure if it was ported to another system, but there you go, Star Wars Lethal Alliance with the manual and the UMD in there as well. Next up we have SWAT, Target Liberty. This is a squad combat game. It's pretty cool. I remember capturing some gameplay footage for this, and it was an interesting game. Time to take back the streets, it says. Really cool to have a good variety of games on the system. You want to have all sorts of stuff, including tactical games, which I like having a good variety of games on my system. So you have SWAT, Target Liberty on the PSP. Next up we have Siphon Filter, Logan's Shadow. One of the Siphon Filter games. This one was PSP exclusive. I'm pretty certain. On the back here from IGN, it says the heart-pounding sequel to the IGN's PSP Game of the Year. So it's a sequel to a good game. It says. I'm not sure what that even means, but there you go. What an odd thing to say. It's like saying it's not great. It's not as good as the last one, but there you go. And this is complete with the UMD and the manual as well. Hey, no worries, Jonan. Appreciate you being here, my friend. Appreciate all you guys being here. You guys are badasses. Thanks for joining me for this slightly impromptu PSP stream, because I hadn't originally planned to do it, but then after doing the Hyperkin PSP HDMI cable, I knew I had to show some PSP games. Next up, we have Taito Legends Power Up. Now there are a couple of games on this, because this was on other systems as well. There's a couple of games on this that are exclusive to the PSP, which is really cool. And this is a collection of games, amazing collection of games, because it has Space Invaders the way you want to play it on. But it also has 4 enhanced versions that are like 3D versions of Balloon Bomber, Crazy Balloon, Camel Tree, and Legend of Cage. And they're entirely exclusive to this, which is really strange, but it's really cool to have them nonetheless. I know often the Xbox would have extra games and stuff like that on these collections, like on Taito Legends 2, the Xbox version and the PC version have extra games. Dark Mirror was the other game. I don't have that one, but it'll be cool to get it down the line. I'm sure it'll probably pop up for cheap at some point, and I'll be able to come across it. Because often places like CEX have a lot of PSP games. But yeah, cool to have this. It's got some exclusive games on the PSP. Another game I showed off on my Hyperkin HDMI video. I ended up playing this for quite a lot because it was really fun. And it is Tekken Dark Resurrection. And I ultimately ended up playing this longer than I should have done because I just couldn't put it down. But maybe we'll have to stream this properly down the line because this was a lot of fun. And it also unlocked the Tekken Bowl mode as well, which was awesome. And I want to try that out as well. I used to love the Tekken games on the PlayStation 1. I'm not very familiar with where the game series went after that. But certainly it'll be a joy to find out. And I love fighting games. Even though I'm not the best at them, I'll give them a good try. And there's the manual and the UMD in there, as well as behind the UMD and the manual. We can see what looks like all of the fighters displayed, which is pretty neat. So a good look at the fighters contained within this game. I like that. That's a really nice addition. I didn't know there was Panda in this game. Who are they pandering to with that? Did you see what I did there? It was very subtle. It was very subtle. Alright, so that's Tekken Dark Resurrection. And I see this a lot in Platinum, but I wanted to pick up a regular copy because then you get the full art on the cover, and then you get the inlay art as well. Alright, this is a new pickup. I picked up 2 extra games. 2 extra titles, and I'll tell you why I say titles instead of games when we get to the next one. I picked up 2 extra ones because I was on 67 and I wanted to have 69 for this video. Of course I wanted to have 69. Everyone wants to have a good 69. But 69 PSP games, or titles I should say, for this video. So this is new. I haven't shown this before. It's Tenchu Time of Assassins. Stealth-based hack and slash game. I really like these games. Kung Fu Panda, kind of actually. I really like some of these games on the other systems, like the PS1 and PS2. I prefer the games in the series that let you be more liberal with how much stealth you want to do. If you want to go out there and just attack, they allow you to do that. Some of them do. So I hope this is in the same vein as that. But there, the Assassins are back. It is a 3D hack and slash stealth game. I'm hoping it's going to give you the option of not being too reliant on stealth, but I certainly do enjoy some of these games on other systems, so I picked it up. Because I picked them both up on eBay, and I was actually going for the other game, or the other title I should say, and I'll explain why I say title when we come to it. I was actually getting that, but whilst I did that, I checked the seller to see if they had any other PSP titles, because, bundle them up. I also wanted to get, save postage. I also wanted to get 2, so I could have it as 69 games instead of 67. Alright, next up we have an RPG, and it is The Legend of Heroes Trail in the Sky. A really cool RPG. Again, it has kind of retro Super Nintendo style graphics to it. On the back here it says Top 10 PSP Games of 2011. And this is a really cool game. I remember playing through this. It was one of the games when I was recording gameplay footage for it. I had to struggle to put it down because it was very engaging and very fun. That's what I like about it. Really cool game. Very deep. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of text at the start of this game, but once you get past that, you get into some awesome RPG action in The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. And there's more games. There's more games in this game series as well that I'd like to pick up if I could find them at a good price, because RPGs often are a little more. All right, next up we have The Lord of the Rings Tactic. And as the name suggests, this is a tactical game in the Lord of the Rings series by EA. And on the back here, it looks like you have a grid for your battle system. It's just a very interesting game. I believe this was exclusive to the PSP, so I decided to pick it up. I certainly got it very cheap, so it was an interesting thing to add to the collection. You want a good variety of games in your collection, so I picked up a tactical game, Lord of the Rings Tactics on the PSP. Alright, the next new addition to the collection, this was the one I was going for from the eBay seller. And I say title instead of game, because strictly this isn't a game. But I wouldn't call it, this is a UMD video, but I wouldn't call it a video either. And this is the Silent Hill Experience for the PSP. Now this is really unique, I would say, and it includes the Silent Hill movie trailer and director interview. But never mind that. That's not some of the coolest features of this. What I would kind of compare this to would be like an extra DVD you might get with a DVD collector's edition with tons of special features. I would compare this to a special feature disc. It is really awesome, and it includes a lot of comic books, music. There's a lot of music on here as well. A lot of music, great music in the Silent Hill game series as well, and a lot of videos on here that you can find as well. And the menus are animated, so as you move along the menus, you can find exclusive, or I should say hidden videos if you press at the right time and find a different path. So you can find things like the UFO ending to the original game and watch that, which would be way easier than unlocking the UFO ending on the original game. But this is awesome, and I'm glad to have picked this up. The Silent Hill Experience, and I was after it for the PSP. Certainly, if I wanted to up my numbers from 67 to 69, I want to go for games I was actually after. So I was after the Silent Hill Experience, and I'm glad to have picked that up. Next up, we have another great game series, although a completely different type of game. We have Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix on the PSP. These are skateboarding games, very fun. I want to say that this had a build your own skater or build your own skate area. And like I mentioned with the SmackDown vs. Raw games, it was incredibly slow to do that. Describes itself as two games in one, with a classic mode and a story mode. Well, really, that's just one game that happens to have a story mode, let's be honest. But this includes 16 exclusive levels to PSP, and you can do 4-player wireless multiplayer as well. It's cool. I love the Tony Hawk's games. Wanted to have one of these on the system. I believe this is one of the games I had day one-ish, or roundabout. But there you go, Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix for the PSP. Next up, we have another game that I had early on in the system as well, and it's fantastic. Well, another game series, I should say, that I had early on, and it is an Untold Legends, Brotherhood of the Blade. Now, I would compare this to Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the PS2, where it is top-down hack and slash fantasy role-playing game. And this is really awesome. Now, I want to say that the dungeons in this game are randomly generated. At least that's how I remember it. That might not be correct. On the back here, it says, "Be fearsome as a foursome," and what it means there is, there's 4-player wireless multiplayer, and not anything else. But this is awesome RPG combat game. Really cool type of game you can easily drop a lot of hours on, and it is complete with a manual and the UMD in there as well. Simpsons game was on the PSP. Nice. I know there was a Simpsons racing game that was on the other systems. The Simpsons had a lot of games out. I remember I have one for the Amiga actually, which I think was ported to consoles as well. But yeah, Simpsons have a lot of cool games. Especially they have an arcade game as well that wasn't ported to anything except I think the Commodore 64, but that's really difficult to find anyway. We have another Untold Legends game here. This is Untold Legends: The Warriors Code. The Warriors Code, very much the same thing. RPG action from a top-down perspective. Same series of games, same sort of gameplay. As you can see, if it wanted to focus, it would. There you go. And awesome game, complete with the UMD and the manual there. It's the RPGs are a kind of game series that I do focus on grabbing because they are awesome. So there you go, Untold Legends of Warriors Code. Next up we have Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. Another game series that is on a lot of different systems. I'm not sure where this fits in the Valkyrie Profile game series. Sometimes these games are remakes or reimaginings, and sometimes they are independent to the rest of the game series. I'm not sure where this one fits in, but there you go. Another cool RPG. You can certainly spend a lot of time playing these RPGs, and they are a lot of fun. Control the fate of gods and mortals, it says. Awesome. Love RPGs, especially love turn-based RPGs, but I don't mind hack and slash either, to be fair as well. Action RPGs are also really cool, as I've shown both during this, and tactical RPGs. I love all kinds of RPGs, to be honest. Hey, welcome back, Jonan. Great to have you back, my friend. Good to have all of you awesome guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here. We're getting near the end, but fear not, my friends. There will be more streaming down the line to come. Thank you guys for being with me, and let's see what we're going to end on. Next up, we have Warhammer 40k Squad Command, because we're in the W's now, and that's how you know when it's going to end. Squad Command, squad-based combat, tactical, kind of like the Dawn of War games for the PC. Very cool, actually. I like this one quite a lot. Squad Command, and I'm actually a big fan of Warhammer. I have a lot of painted models for the tabletop miniature game, and I even have a battle report for it on the channel. And I would like to do, I was going to show you the artwork, but the UMD is in the way, so I'm going to have to take that out as well. I would like to do more battle reports, but you know, there's so many things I would like to do on the channel, but they all take time, and battle reports take a long time to do, which is unfortunate. Next up, gotta have one of these games on the system. Gotta have them. It is Worms, and it's Worms Open Warfare. Similar with Lemmings, it's a I was gonna say it's a puzzle game, but it's more like an action game. But you guys know Worms. I don't need to tell you guys what Worms is like. You've most likely all played Worms. Awesome game. Awesome game. I had to have one on the PSP. My videos are the closest you've been to Warhammer. Warhammer's a lot of fun, actually. I would say we'd have to have a game sometime, but they take so long to set up as well. That's the thing. It's like doing a Warhammer game. You've got to set up the tables. You've got to put all the scenery down. You've got to get all the armies out, figure out each army being the same level, and then the whole thing takes hours to play. And if you want to take that as it is, you want to add recording on top of that, you know, it's going to take forever. But it is fun. It is fun. I used to play it a lot. But I enjoy D&D a lot these days, and D&D doesn't have to use miniatures. And you know, you can only have so many hobbies on the go at the same time. You guys know what it's like. You guys know what it's like as a video game enthusiast and a YouTuber. I've got to micromanage my time, and yeah, game collecting and making videos on YouTube takes a long time. I would love to do more varied content, obviously, but I am a gaming channel. Video games are going to be the most, but D&D is also one of my passions. You know, battle reports will be sweet as well. Shorter or longer than a D&D session. I would say on average about the same length for one game of Warhammer, depending on how big you wanted to play it. So I'd say about the same length. But if you were recording it, you would have to stop and start like every single turn, because it's turn-based, and then it would definitely take longer than a D&D session to record it. Man, it'd take forever. Plus it needs more editing as well. And then finally, last game on the PSP. We've gone through 69 games, my friend. That's why you had to give up Medieval Reenactment. Yeah, it's like, D&D, you don't need much for D&D. So like for medieval reenactment, you need to travel and you need to have your gear. And for Warhammer, you need to, if you want to get to large groups of people with Warhammer to play massive games, you've got to travel as well. That's the thing. You guys can probably see what the game is. It was kind of mentioned at the forefront. But yeah, D&D is a lot easier to do. And there will be more D&D on the channel, guys, as well, coming down the line as well. Alright, next game is SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 featuring ECW. Together, you're unstoppable. I believe this was just a port of the game at the time on the PSP. It did take a hit in every department. It took a hit in terms of graphics and features as well. I believe the amount of superstars in the ring was reduced. I can't remember correctly, but I think stuff like that was reduced. And what I remember most about this game, or about these kind of games, because I might have had another one in the past as well. I remember that if you're creating your own superstar, it takes absolutely forever. Like you move from one piece of clothing or hairstyle to another, and there'll be a loading in between. It's insane. But a type of game I would love to have on the system. It's good to play for short sessions, and I would say that if it wasn't so long on the loadings, but absolutely cool. And because it's ECW as well, there's going to be some hardcore antics in there as well. But there you go, that's SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 featuring ECW. Alright, Extreme Championship Wrestling. And from Extreme Games to the last game, which was that. Guys, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for joining me for this PSP collection video stream. You've seen my 69 PSP games and my system. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like the video, be sure to leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. It just remains me to say once again, thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.